Welcome back, guys, to the Hearthstone Grand Prix here at DreamHack Sweden. We have had 3 amazing quarterfinal games so far, and we are going to decide our final semi-finalist. And I am joined by the ultimate beauty and brains combination. We have Raven and Life Coach alongside me. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. This is my first cast of the day, so I'm looking forward to getting to it. I've been just watching all the matches coming up so far, so yeah, excited to see who is going to be the last player to go into the top 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have Mitsuhide up against Matty. So these are 2 of the names in the quarterfinal bracket that maybe people at home aren't too familiar with. So what do we know about either of these players?
I think Mitsuhide is a player that a lot of pros respect, and he's been getting results under the radar a lot of the time, not really doing anything too crazy in, like, you know, the huge major tournaments. But for example, he performed very well at the French Hearthstone Festival not too long ago. Performed very well there, and just been doing really well in online cups and a few sort of good placements in majors as well in terms of top 16.
Yeah, as well as picking up a win in one of the side events at a previous DreamHack as well, which is just an incredible achievement in itself. But Matty, probably one of the players most unknown, is really making a big breakout performance here in this bracket. So, you know, huge opportunity for him, and we can see his lineup here. And maybe slightly uniquely, we are looking at one of the few players still left in the tournament that is bringing Rogue with them.
Yeah, it's a crazy one because we've seen a few Rogue players on stream over the past couple of days, and none of them have really performed too well. Obviously, you know, as you said, Matty getting this far is a fantastic achievement, regardless of his lineup, just in general. But yeah, I'll be always interested to see when there's that deck that isn't the most common setup, right? And it's definitely the Rogue here is going to be the important win, I feel, if it comes to it.
How do you feel about Rogue's placement at the moment, Life Coach? Because I know in the past you've had that Turtle Rogue variant that you like to play a lot, but these days, how are you feeling about Rogue in the current meta game?
Yeah, I think with the loss of Blade Fury, Rogue just got very underwhelming. So beforehand it was like that you could stall a little bit, then make this big Blade Fury turn happen, and after that you would usually out-resource or out-race your opponent. But nowadays, with the lack of Blade Fury, I feel that Rogue is very, very underwhelming and not have a good position in the meta game.
Yeah, that's fair. It's definitely a little weak to some of the aggressive strategies that are becoming very common, and not having that powerful AoE is actually leaving them weak to decks like Shaman that before they could actually get a really strong swing turn against, and now that turn just really isn't there more often than not.
Yeah, I think we've seen it recently and just in the past in general sort of have its moment in tournaments when the meta really slows down and there's a lot more control decks. Rogue always just appears, demolishes them all, and then the meta just changes and it goes away again most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So we saw the Shaman was banned out there, meaning it's probably not going to be any of the wacky Shaman nonsense that we could have seen from the Fallen previously. Probably just a more consistent Shaman list, and it is going to be a double Shaman ban. Mitsuhide is running the Hunter as well, so at least...
He's my hero.
Yeah, there you go. Raven just immediately perked up when he saw that icon appear, but at least these players are bringing one deck each that's somewhere outside the, you know, the core gooddex.com strategy that most of these players have been bringing, with the Hunter on one side, the Rogue on the other, but the Druid and that ever-dominant Zoo Warlock on both sides that we've been seeing just absolutely crush through the bracket so far.
Yeah, it wouldn't even surprise me if we see the players start with the more dominant decks. You know, we've seen a lot of Zoo openings just because it has been sweeping very well through this tournament, and to be honest, with Hunter and Rogue being a little bit weaker just in general, it wouldn't surprise me to say this is last hero standing. Like, I might not even have to play that deck in this series if Zoo can carry it, for example.
Yeah, and again, it's interesting because we've seen series after series come down to whether they have an answer to the question that Zoo presents, right? So Zoo comes into the series at some point, picks up a win because it's very powerful, and then a lot of lineups don't really seem like they have that counter. We've seen JJ, for example, was trying Dragon Warrior. That didn't quite get there, but we'll find this out right away. It looks like Matty is going to bring the more aggressive form of Rogue, perhaps with the Questing Adventurers. It's going to go up against the Zoo straight away. I'll leave you guys in the capable hands of Raven and Life Coach. Enjoy the series, guys.
All right, mate. Thank you very much, Sable. Okay, so we are going in this match and it's Rogue against Zoo, and usually Rogue has kind of tools against Zoo, especially if Rogue has access to exactly those two cards, Backstab and SI7.
Yeah, I was just about to say exactly the same thing. These are the cards you're looking for. Even Fan of Knives for just a little bit later on is going to really help out if you can combine it with a spell damage minion and prep, which is just huge. Can be a huge blowout turn, and I feel like once Rogue has reduce the board down once against Zoo,
Yep.
it has the tools to stay on top of it and then really run away with the game. So I think that's going to be Matty's game plan, just reduce down the pressure early and then snowball afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. And we also saw Matty just missing the perfect curve here. I mean, going with Swashbuckler into Weapon Up, into Backstab SI, into Tomb Pillager, into Fan of Knives, that would have been the dream. But he missed it just by kind of pinch. But it's still good enough. Again, the Backstab SI7, just the insane bomb in this matchup.
Yeah, and hitting with the dagger there, it's like Zoo is almost certainly going to play a minion this turn, so you have something to backstab to combine with the SI.
Oh.
It's almost guaranteed, but now, I said almost, because Demon Fire has actually helped him just create a really awkward Malkazar Zim, and because he's damaged it, he can't backstab it this turn.
Oh, that is so awkward. I mean, if you just think about it, if he would have just not damaged it, I was really I just wanted to say that I was maybe a little bit surprised about the hit, because, I mean, of course, you set up for a maybe perfect backstab SI, but not necessarily so. And if you just miss out this opportunity, maybe you won't even have a backstab SI, and that's presumably the very, very best strong rogue can ever wish for.
Yeah, especially because the next turn, turn 4, you kind of always just want to play Tomb Pillager. Like, almost all the time. The minion is fantastic.
Yes.
Obviously enables the coin for the rogue as well once it dies. So it's not as if it's like, well, I didn't get the SI off this turn, I'll do it next turn. Because if you do that, then your Tomb Pillager's delayed.
That's
and then
right.
everything's just like a turn backwards, right? You know, you just fall behind one more turn.
Not even is it only, I mean, it's at least one turn backwards, but it's also about the SI7 agent having the ability to already trade on the board as well. So, and also, of course, floating these 3 mana. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. I mean, from 0 to 0. I mean, it's not that as drastic as this, but backstab SI7 is like the hero probably, and if you just miss that or pass that turn, it's insane.
Yeah, I think the main thing is, like, Matty's not suddenly lost the game because of that turn, but he would have been very ahead if he got it off.
Oh, that's interesting. You see a Silverware Golem being played hard, the hard way, yeah, I mean, makes some sense, but 3 mana 3/3 is also not the most appealing for Zoo.
Yeah. What do you think about Forbidden Ritual in Zoo nowadays? Because we've seen a couple of players bring it, but it definitely isn't common in the standard Zoo list at the moment.
Yeah, I guess the Forbidden Ritual has its appearance before Shaman got very popular, and with Shaman being that popular, I mean, a single Maelstrom Portal is perfectly hard countering your Forbidden Ritual, and hence Zoo basically discarded this Forbidden Ritual tagged. But with the ban Shaman at your disposal, you can probably just include it once, maybe again.
Yeah. I'm not seeing. I mean, we cast the Fireback game, right, where there was the huge Forbidden Ritual,
yeah,
and then just swipe, and it
then
was like, no! It didn't get too much work done there. Did need a draw a swipe, but that draw for Mitsuhide is pretty good. Soulfire, the cleanest of kills into the Tomb Pillager, and he is okay with the Malkazar Zim being able to just cycle a card.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and the Forbidden Ritual as well, actually, that we can see probably the best target to cycle because of that Fan of Knives sitting in the rogue hand.
Exactly, yeah. We also see the Silver Golem. Maybe he plays the second one. I mean, he already.
I think why not at this point, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also consistent with his line, right? Yeah, it's very rare to see both Silver Golem hitting the board or being on the board for the Zoo without having discarded any of them.
Yeah, and it's really weird that you'd normally say if you have to play the Silverwares for mana,
yes,
you're in a bad spot as Zoo. But because of the other, situations that Mitsuhide is putting himself into, he's not really being punished for it to a certain extent here. He's got a lot of power on the board. That imp's still there as well.
Oh, okay.
And being able to Soulfire means he just got away with it pretty easily.
No, that's very interesting because he can now play the Adventurer into Coin SI and Backstab. So that would give him a very big Adventurer, or or the other way is to do this and Eviscerate instead.
Yeah. Yes, he's going to go for the Eviscerate play. Now there's just the 3/3 mirror on board. And really just asking Mitsuhide if he can continue up with this pressure whilst dealing with the 3/3. Another Soulfire would be pretty good here.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether it was really worth to miss out of this Questing Adventurer, because the Questing Adventurer would have been huge.
It's just an additional minion as well, isn't it? Just like one more minion on the board to actually just help with the Zoo trades going forward.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, a 5/5 on the board which can grow is like a 5/5 taunt, right? So
yeah.
That would have not been the worst.
Interested to see if this Void Crusher gets any play at all in this game. More than likely not. As it is a very awkward minion to play. For anyone that doesn't know, if you use your hero power, so it has an Inspire effect, a minion on either side of the board dies, and that minion can be the Void Crusher itself.
And usually is if you play it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So definitely not seeing the Void Crusher hero power for sure. Already, the preparation,
nice.
probably the best card he could have drawn. I mean, if any, this card can get him back into this game.
Alright, let's have a look. Prep fan's going to draw him 2 cards.
Okay, Deadly Poison, but cannot be played. Another 2 cards, maybe another prep, who knows? Backstab? Oh.
It's always the backstab after the Fan of Knives, always.
So close. Yeah, now he has the option to trade and preserve the 3-1, but he decides against it. So saying basically the 2 attack are more important than the 3-1 on the board.
And also as well, as a Zoo player, you kind of want to kill the Gadget Zam. And at the moment, if both minions trade into the Gadget Zam, Matty's feeling pretty good about life, but we can obviously see that the Abusive Sergeant is going to make this trade much nicer for Mitsuhide here.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Mitsuhide just preserved the board, and yeah, giving the Rogue the very big problem to answering that.
Okay. A few options. There is Azure Drake, there is Eviscerate, and the Backstab as well. But does it do enough?
Yeah, the backstab is doing surprisingly little work against this Zoo. Just not having any targets. One is damage, the other one is not a real target. And you definitely also don't want to backstab this in-game boss, so yeah.
Do you think there's this is the turn you can get the questing down? If you quest in, use Backstab, Eviscerate, and then you can still dagger up?
Well, I guess you have to.
Pretty big, yeah?
Yeah, I guess you have to do that at some point. I mean, Rogue doesn't have access to heal, already being down at 9 life and also taking more attacks.
This is better as well, using the Deadly Poison.
Yep.
Okay. So Matty pretty much put himself in a position where he has to win off the back of this questing adventurer. Everything else is going to be too slow, only on 9 health, and Mitsuhide has played 0 Doom Guards, and I think he still has another Soulfire as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And 2 Dark Peddlers to potentially draw into Power Overwhelming, more Soulfires, just any additional damage is really going to help him out here.
Yeah, even any Doom Guards are probably also immediately dealing out the deal. So, but there are actually not the strongest cards drawn, so let's see how this goes.
I mean, hey, you just play the minions and go face, right? Your plan is very, very clear. You've got enough health that although this questing is scary, it is more than likely not going to just kill you next turn. So you can at least have one more turn, probably one more tap at the least, to be able to draw some additional damage.
I think the second Fan of Knife, which could probably close that down. It's basically only the second Fan of Knives from what I see. And if you don't draw this Fan of Knives during the next 2 draws, well, then it's probably going to be
tricky, yeah.
It's going to be very, very tricky. So, yeah, just dropping those 2 sure, going face. And now it's really about this Fan of Knives. If this Fan of Knives can come down, it will just wreak havoc.
Especially with the prep as well, means you can actually eviscerate Fan. If he needs to, Salseed that can not enough. But it is going to help him clear up some minions here.
So, yeah, he needs...
The problem here is the Possessed Villager is almost certainly going to get an attack in one form or another, which puts the Rogue at the danger of 5 health. So any Doom Guard draw is just dead. You know, the Rogue's not playing any healing, any taunts. So, you know, as Matt here, he really wants to find a way to keep him at 6. I don't think he can.
No, I also don't think either, so I think Rogue has to just go risky here. Going Salseed Dekang into the 3-2, eviscerating the Wolf, just going face with the questing adventurer, and then...
You set up 2-turn lethal if you survive, to a certain extent.
Exactly, just a 2-turn lethal.
It's like, you've got to kill me, or you're going down. That's all he can do at this point. An 11-7 quest adventure.
Would you also play the prep? Yeah, probably you.
What else is the prep going to do? Like, even next turn, you either win or you don't, right, next turn?
That's right. So unless you draw an auctioneer, the prep is probably less worse than 1 damage and the +1/+1. That was a mistake. Well played.
This draw is everything. There is a life tap available as well for a Doom Guard for Mitsuhide, because he's dead no matter what. He either taunts these up or gets tapped. That's not it.
And Pure or Soulfire is...
And no, that's not it.
But there
does Voidwalker save him?
No, I don't think so.
No, it definitely doesn't. He has the Azure Drake on the board, of course. Yeah.
So yeah, That was
Wow.
a very interesting match, and we already talked about it earlier. Rogue being very, very important to get through, and yeah, it just eliminated the Zoo.
Yeah, the Rogue not falling on its
Not
face.
falling on the Zoo, yeah.
And actually the Zoo getting out of the game is very, very important here for Matty. And really, I think that is the most common style to see as Rogue and quite difficult to do, where you realize this is my exact way to win. I just go for it. If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it's just identifying the highest odds. And very often as Rogue, it isn't all in play. It's pretty much just throw it all down, set yourself up, and hope they don't have it a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's right. And we are not, it's not very surprising that the Face Hunter is queuing into the Rogue, being a very, very favorable matchup.
Just play high mains though. So it is so the secret mid-range variant, and high main is a card as Hunter that you never normally get to play against Rogue. A lot of the time it isn't worth it if you have any other minion plus hero power that turn. Because the second you just get sapped, then you're losing so much tempo. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's true. Especially strong. The strongest card from the Hunter's perspective against the Rogue is, funnily not a minion, but a weapon. Yeah? It's the Eaglehorn's bow, and just having this Eaglehorn's bow will probably get 4 or 5 charges in with the Secret Hunter, and that already nearly confirms lethal, because Rogue can just don't have a way to heal himself up, so that's a big thing.
Yeah, and as well, the way the Rogue plays, it can't really play around secrets for a long period of time.
Yep.
Like there are some decks, like Dragon Warrior, can just not proc a cat trick. They can just choose not to because they don't need to, whereas Rogue does not have that option, and this snipe is going to be huge, and I wonder if Matty's going to try and just drop down the SI now to say, because sniping a Tomb Pillager is second only to sniping a Gadgets and Auctioneer as a Hunter in this matchup. Yeah, you are more than okay with that going down.
But I guess in this case, I mean, it doesn't really matter whether it snipes the Tomb Pillager or not. I mean, you invest also the coin, but you also get a coin back.
And you have the second one to follow up, right?
Exactly, so I wouldn't mind to do that, especially because the Tomb Pillager is just better against all the other secrets, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a coin Pillager coming down here.
And as well, to be fair, there is no bow equipped, which, as you were just talking about, like if the bow is equipped, the Rogue is feeling terrible. You can't just not play anything, but then the bow gains an additional charge, and then everything starts to just snowball out of control. It's like Matty's just going for the SI agent. Okay.
Okay, and that's also interesting. I mean, especially because the SI agent would have just gotten eaten by the 3-4 if it would have been any other secret. So a little bit surprised by this play, but preserving the coin, also preserving the pillagers.
Now we see the sort of side snowball effect from the Cloaked Huntress, one of my favorite cards, or one of my favorite newer cards, is that like this freezing trap getting down for 0 mana allows the development of the infested wolf that's a pain in itself to deal with, and now the Tomb Pillager is going to get bounced, and the Rogue not being able to play enough minions onto the board means that this game is getting slower and slower while Mitsuhide is just pushing and pushing and pushing and not having to use any burn yet either.
I was also wondering about the possibility of using Prep Fan of Knives to kill this Huntress. I mean, Mitsuhide could have also opted into playing the attack with a weapon on the 3-4 on the Huntress. If it's Snake Trap, Prep Fan of Knives, probably there is no Snake Trap, but Prep Fan of Knives and SS7 agent confirms 3 damage in total. So he could have basically traded 1 card off his hand and 3 life against the Huntress, and I think that would have probably been worth it. What do you think?
It's a tough one because you have to just weigh up how afraid you are of the free traps, right? We've just seen that the 0 mana freezing trap was insane that turn because of the development of the second infested wolf. It really comes down to how much fear you put into the Hunter only having 2 cards. And they would have played the secrets if they already had them. So it was literally Mitsuhide drawing into the secret that really punished the play of leaving the cloak top. But it's a real tough one.
No, but it's also the 3-4 body in general. I mean, if you can just trade 1 card in your hand, I mean, it's 2 cards, but 1 replaces itself, so you can trade 1 card against killing a 3-4, which can also attack. So you would have eaten this 3-4 damage anyways. Seemed to be worth it, but I guess the plans were different ones.
Sap now having to come out onto the infested wolf to try and slow this down for Mitsuhide. And the not attacking, interesting. What do you make of the not attack here? Because there's still the freezing trap down, right?
Yeah, there is a freezing up, right?
So like, what are you waiting to get an attack in with?
The pirate. He plays a pirate, right?
Ah, yeah, but do you think he can wait to just draw into it? Because if these 2 Tomb Pillagers are just down and he just chooses not to attack, then It's a bit of a tough one. I think he needs to proc it this turn and just get on with it.
No, I think he will now, but maybe he was also afraid of a second freezing trap in Mitsuhide's hand, right? So if Matty reads Mitsuhide on a second freezing trap in his hand, which he would have also needed to draw, by attacking you give him also the ability to deploy the second freezing trap.
Yeah, this is a tough one as well because suddenly the trade into at least one of the wolves and then go into Fan of Knives, well, that's going to proc the grandmother as well, so now you have to think about that, just putting out more damage on the board, and suddenly the presence on board doesn't really change, and you've invested minions and spells into trying to deal with it. So Matty's got an awkward turn to deal with all these death rattles and the kind of backwards effect death rattle that grandmother has of being a smaller minion death rattling into a bigger minion.
Yeah, but I also like what he plays. I mean, that he definitely attacking the Huntress though.
Yeah, I think you need to just get rid of that one now. It's
Yeah.
caused enough trouble as it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's already 10 damage on board, so that means 12 damage with the Hunter Hero Power. That's just too much. You don't want that to happen. So you trade one and then you concede. It's also that it's still a 5-1, which means the 5-1 cannot really become handled. Oh. Okay.
Wow. So
it's very aggressive.
Does Matty just think he can win in 2 turns?
I'm not exactly sure.
Because that's
10, 14, 16. It looks kind of strange to me.
That 25 looks too far away. That is not close enough because now, you know, the game's obviously over now with the quick shot, but without the quick shot, you were at 2. Like,
yeah, I don't
anyway,
think
so
I'm actually really curious or confused by this play because he could have traded the 3 damage away, also preventing further secrets to be deployed for free, and also confirming this 5-1 in concealed state, but which would have also been able to just kill
big
a wolf
value
and then,
trade,
value trade, and then Fan of Knives for maybe clearing the board.
I think as well there was cold blood in hand, but like there would have needed to be like second cold blood. Eviscerate. You know, to be able to reach all the way to 25 in 1 turn.
That's right.
And then you think, well, what if a single secret comes down? What if another freezing trap comes down? Then you're in huge problems and you're never going to make it. So that was a interesting play there from Matty. Didn't work out for him, of course, as Mitsuhide takes the win with the Hunter, moving swiftly on to the next game. And Matty's gone for his Tempo Mage versus the Hunter.
Okay, so the Tempo Mage usually being a very equal matchup, and it really is important who gets on board first because the cards are pretty snowbody, Sorcerer's Apprentices, spell damage, and on the other hand, of course, Cloaked Huntress.
Yep. A lot of options actually. Mitsuhide's opening hand doesn't look like naturally too crazy, but it just has so many options that the Hunter needs a lot of the time.
Yep.
Just having the quick shot as well to deal with a Sorcerer's Apprentice straight off the bat is really nice because it's not a card you can afford to leave alive and still have hopes to win the game.
And especially hidden behind the mirror images,
it's
he's feeling quite comfortable.
The good thing for Mitsuhide is he's got the Granny down and doesn't have a 2-cost minion anyway, so this quick shot should be fairly straightforward here.
Okay, so there's still a worm now attacking for more and more. No spell at the very moment. Let's see what the Babbling Book will give us.
Always an interesting moment.
Oh yeah, you bet. So, no.
Where are those Frostbolt's life codes? That's what I always think when I get a Shatter. Like, why have I always get Shatter when I've used both Frostbolts in the deck, and I'm like, come on. Yeah, it's kind of rough. You can't even cast it like on nothing to proc a Flame Waker hit.
That's right.
Like, you literally need a frozen target. It's absolutely horrible.
Yeah, the Scatter probably being the absolute blank here.
Yeah. Okay, Leok, actually not terrible. Allowing to kill off this slightly bigger mirror image, allow for a little bit better trades going forward. And also, Leok becomes a very scary minion when the Houndmaster comes down to follow it up. Going into a 4-6 that's also still buffing all the other minions' damage is kind of nice.
If you want to trade that for sure, you want to play Blood Mage, ping, and then just trade those minions in. You cannot let it happen that the Houndmaster just buffs the Leok. And if the Houndmaster buffs the Grandmother, well, okay, then the 4-3 Grandmother attacks the mirror image. Or the 3-3 Grandmother attacks the mirror image.
Yeah, and then the Mana Worm is more than likely able to just trade into the taunt regardless, and kill off that half. So you put yourself in a position to deal with the outcome, and it looks like that is going to be the play. It feels bad a lot of the time.
Yep.
but you get blown out if a Houndmaster comes down onto
That's
Leok.
right.
That's potentially just game ending right there. You cannot afford to do it. You take a slower turn. I do like developing the Thalnos here. You don't have Arcane Blasts in hand for now, and then you have Azure Drakes for if you need, the extra spell damage later.
That's right.
And you just need the cycle. You need to be able to keep the Hunter down once you've sort of reduced the board state down.
Yeah, it's also a free 1/1 spell power on board, if you want to say so. And it's not only about that, but it's also very, very huge about this Houndmaster, which he can anticipate will come down. And if the Houndmaster comes down, well, he doesn't have any way to address this 3/3. Whereas on the other hand, with the Blood Mage Thanos, he also would have had some ability to trade in this 3/1 after that. So, yeah actually...
I just like the
surprised that it
cycle
didn't
as
come
well.
down.
Like, just having the cycle feels good enough to me. Houndmaster does come down, not too much of a surprise, and nothing else too great to play. Matty can deal with it. He's going to go for the Azure Drake, which means he cannot actually kill off the 3/3 here. Deciding to just get the Azure Drake on the board was worth more than the Arcane Intellect and potential Arcane Blasts, or just following up with the Thalnos for the damage.
That's right. We also see Tundra Rhino in the Mitsuhide's deck, so he can also utilize the Death Rattle at any point of the game if he wants to do so. So maybe even now playing Cloaked Huntress, Freezing Trap, Grandmother now, with a follow-up of Secret Keeper and Tundra Rhino next turn.
Charge. Yeah.
And then charging in those Death Rattles, it's just insanely strong.
The thing with Tundra Rhino is something I've messed about with fairly recently, and it may as well have taunt, right? Like, that minion has to die from your opponent's point of view, because there could just be a high main. Even Infested Wolf works similar with the Death Rattles. You get so much value if Tundra Rhino lives for a turn that it's truly, truly ridiculous. So Mitsuhide putting himself in a really strong position here, a very awkward board to deal with, and has a pretty decent follow-up in the form of that Tundra Rhino as well.
Yeah, I mean, Mitsuhide obviously wants to attack, but he probably wants to attack the face, I just wanted to say, because there's a Freezing Trap up to counteract with the Azure. But on the other hand, it's true that you don't really... I mean, we now can see now that Tempo Mage doesn't have access to any powered spells, but...
he very easily could have. We've seen none of them so far. So.
Exactly. So I actually think I very much like this trade into this Azure with the foresight of just preventing a Flame Waker into Arcane Missiles.
Yeah, something truly ridiculous.
Yes, exactly.
Especially because the Cloaked Huntress is getting so much work done sort of quietly in the background. Like, you definitely don't want just one Arcane Blast killing it off.
That's right.
A little bit rough. And Matty now sort of trying to stabilize at this point, because this is the position that Hunter excels at, being able to pick the trades or choose to just go aggressive.
That's right.
Like the Mage pick. And, this is just going from bad to worse here. There is double Frostbolt and there is Shatter.
And there's Shatter.
We can see the combo come off.
Combo to the Rhino combo.
It's going to have to.
It's gonna happen. Zack, 3-2 charge. It's so insane. Grandmaster trading in this 2-3. Again, having another charge. That's just so huge.
And even the Infested Wolf, if the Tundra Rhino lived, to then follow up again would have just been like true madness. This is so much extra damage though.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, just bursting down 11, that's more than 1/3 of the entire health total. Oh, that will be huge.
You can use double Frostbolt with the Flame Waker.
Not sure whether it will be enough, but it's definitely a very good pickup. That's one of the parts he needs.
The really nice thing about the Rhino play this turn as well is that if Matty had Flame Strike, it's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough.
It's like you just put your opponent in such an awkward position with that 5 health. It's kind of great.
I mean, that being said, Mage still is kind of at 19 health, so it's not over yet.
No, definitely not. But we've seen only a quick shot in form of burn from Mitsuhide this game.
Right.
So there's bows, there's kill commands, there's another quick shot, at least in the deck for some additional burst damage. We are going to see the Frostbolt.
And the ping, and probably also Arcane Blast on the Huntress. Yes, I really like that. Just making the best use out of your damage spells.
Yeah,
really
this is when Mitsuhide's going to start counting damage and how many hero powers he needs to finish this game.
That's right.
Oh,
just 2.5 less hero powers.
Yep. Whenever you draw burn like this at this point in the match, it just changes your game plan altogether. You can think, okay, I'm going to keep trading. Never mind. I have kill command. Live that smoke life. And he already has the Secret Keeper to make a nice trade into the Thalnos. Like, why not?
Yep.
Really good value trade. You get 6 damage, 8 with the hero power, of course. In any way, pushes Matty all the way down to 11 health, and he can already do 5 of that, almost guaranteed.
I mean, there is still a freezing trap on Mitsuhide's side, so the why not might be that you can prevent or prohibit the mage 1 additional extra card. Also putting him on 10, so that's also 1 life more.
I am not 100% sure on every card in Matty's list, but I'm guessing there isn't an Arcane Explosion then.
Oh,
because
right,
you would have killed off the Thanos, right?
Yes, that's pretty sure. Okay, now the Arcane Missiles for 6, it's pretty insane. Bling!
Yeah. Wow, these are good missiles.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, with the mana for the ping as well.
It's insane. He just cleared the board.
That is actually ridiculous. But
Absolutely.
even with no beasts, there's guaranteed 5 damage this turn. So if there any more burn is drawn from Mitsuhide, he effectively has 2 turn lethal.
And there will be also a beast coming down at some point, right?
Yeah.
So he just
he won't need to kill Commander. It's just like at worst he has this much damage. Mage only on 10 health.
That's true. So probably just snipe, shooter coming down, even with the Thanos for 4.
Probably wishes the freezing trap was snipe.
Yes.
That would be very nice. But yeah, why not? Snipe actually just kills most of the Tempo Mage minions.
Yep.
And especially now, knowing that Thanos is bounced. Well, Thanos is normally an okay snipe, right? You just, as the mage, you throw Thanos down. It's like, okay, get sniped, I cycle a card. But 4-mana Thanos is nowhere near as good. And he didn't actually play the snipe.
No, he didn't play it. I'm actually a little bit surprised. With the snipe, you would have maybe at least forced the Thanos to come out. So I'm a little bit curious what he wants to do.
But like, what going forward? What is he waiting to snipe? Like at this point in the game, when he's so close to killing his opponent, the only thing that could happen is a minion build up like this, then like double fireball, to win the game. So it's kind of like you've kind of opened yourself up to the damage here. There's a bow, so there's more burst.
Well,
and that is actually just going to be lethal. It's going to be exactly the damage Mitsuhide requires, but that did look a little bit scary for a second there. If you just drew just a minion, then suddenly you can just die at that point, but he didn't. Mitsuhide goes 2-1 up, and still on the Hunter.
Also specifically because the Fireball would have dealt 10 damage, right? I mean, it's
double spell power and the 2 from the...
Exactly, so that would have already been 19 damage if I
He was only on,
it
what,
right.
21, 22?
Yeah, 21. He was at 21, so any kind of spell would have also just sealed the deal if he wouldn't have top decked at this very moment. So that's really interesting.
Like I said, it feels kind of great knowing your opponent was on, I think, 3 cards. One of those is a 4-mana Thanos. And then all the others you pretty much kill with snipe.
Exactly.
So you are always going to get value. There was barely any circumstance in which snipe doesn't kill the minion other than like Ragnaros.
Exactly.
But other than that, you just 2-mana kill a minion. They play like seems good.
Yeah, I think Mitsuhide's reasoning behind that was that he knew that the Thanos just got bound, so he really didn't want to snipe a 1-1.
Give an additional card draw if there was nothing in the hand of Matty.
Exactly, but I think just forcing this Thanos play out was already good enough. I mean, as you correctly pointed out, I mean, what do you want to do with a snipe or accomplish with a snipe in 1 or 2 turns if one of both players will be dead?
Yeah, you pretty much just... say to yourself, that card, I drew 0 cards this turn and just completely passed. But we are on to the next game. Matty has his Druid now versus Mitsuhide's Hunter, and Mitsuhide didn't even draw High Main last game. He didn't need it, but he does have it available now, and Barnes. And Barnes is one of the cards in the Hunter list that you didn't really need to build Hunter too differently than you would build normally. You know, a lot of lists with Barnes in, you make adjustments to get more value. Hunter naturally plays a lot of Death Rattle minions, and even the Tundra Rhino could get some value there. So Barnes is so good at Hunter, and now we see Snipe getting value, and the bow is equipped. So already 3 charges on that bad boy.
That's a lot of damage. I mean, we also see Druid having all the acceleration in the world they could wish for. I mean, already having by 9 mana access by turn 4. But yeah, it's 9 mana by turn 4 is nice, but not if you have nothing to play.
Yeah, and you know, no surprise, this is not like a lucky outcome at all for the for Mitsuhide here with this Barnes. You run so many Death Rattles, you were definitely going to get something valuable. And Infested Wolf is actually a real pain to deal with.
Oh yeah. So how do you do that even? I mean, you can certainly play out the Giant. The question is only how.
Do you just not proc the Wolf?
Yeah, no, you don't. You
don't.
The question is whether you rush for 1. Oh, the Wolf. That's interesting. I was thinking about
if you knew you were drawing Swipe, then sure. But yeah.
Okay.
Now this feels like it makes it kind of just difficult to get a giant you're happy with this turn. So I guess that Matty might just not be planning to play the giant and just play a wild growth.
Yeah,
and
Nourish,
just going through that
right?
way. Yeah, Nourish now before he did, because he didn't have Nourish until he Wrath, right? But yeah, you know, the initial plan was probably not to play for the giant, but now with Nourish, obviously that changes everything.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh no, he wants to play the giant. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, the giant there is very vulnerable to freezing trap at this moment. We can see obviously it isn't available yet in Mitsuhide's hand, but still there is.
No.
Ooh, okay. Even now, like there's the issue of because it's so early in the game. Mitsuhide's got a few minions on the board. He can now just drop another 2 if he really wants.
Yep.
And the giant can only attack once. So you know, even with the amount of power it's still got a lot of work to do. It's actually
you can even take the 8. Yeah, okay. I don't mind it. I mean, you can just take the 8. You're so much ahead, and why are you even afraid? I mean, you just utilize your life.
And you have high main, right? Like you've got the power next turn.
Oh yeah. And you're really not afraid. I mean, 22 being at 30 as Hunter is effectively as valuable as being at 15. I mean, you really you need your life. So the more you can utilize it with the bow, the more happier you are.
And the bow is still equipped as well, which is key. You know, being able to just keep generating those charges. See a lot of Hunter players potentially on ladder just equip bow, hit face, and then suddenly a minion comes down. You're like, now I lose my durability. I cannot, regenerate the bow all the time, and it really is quite punishing. And the best players get the most value out of Eaglehorn Longbow.
That's right. Yeah, and with the Hyman coming down, I mean, that will be very, very difficult for Druid to handle.
There's already minions on the board that, Matty's going to have to struggle to deal with because mainly of the Granny, now the high main, and this is looking very rough for Matty here. Malygos, not important at this moment in time. Raven Idol does open up a few options, does have Feral Rage, to actually either gain some armor or help trade away a minion, but there's just nothing nice here to deal with that high main.
And also the Feral Rage. I mean, yes, Feral Rage can maybe delay the inevitable, but other than that, it really does to nothing. At this very moment, Matty just has to come back on board somehow. But I mean, he already is completely behind on board, and not only is it about that, but all those minions also have Death Rattle, or most of them, which is just insane.
Yeah, Mitsuhide Summon Blood now going for the attack with the bow because, going back to the point I raised earlier about not throwing away the durability, at this point, he's setting up lethal anyway, and if he draws a bow, then you don't want it to be a completely dead draw, so you do set up the damage there.
So what are you even hoping for to achieve with this Raven Idol? What would be the best you could get?
Flame Strike, maybe? I don't know. It's like, you're gonna need something pretty magical and non-existent from this Raven Idol. Starfall is kind of like Flame Strike, I guess. Yeah. But it's not going to do enough.
No, it won't. So, yeah, but you obviously take it, and then what would you do?
It's so scary. With the Hunter Hero power just leveraging that extra damage, you could even be like, okay, I'm going to kill off a couple of these minions. High main is just going to survive in one form or another. And then there's the minions that are left, plus the hero power, plus whatever the Hunter's going to draw. And it's so difficult for Matty to pull himself out
That's already 10 damage on board. Huffer always.
Yeah, 3 mana.
GG.
Play Huffer, seems good.
Leok is also nearly
good. Oink. There it is. It always is.
It always is.
Huffer on demand, and Mitsuhide with the sweep with the Hunter as well. Losing the first game, we thought Mitsuhide was going to be in trouble, losing that Zoo match to the Rogue, but then Hunter doing really, really well. And this is kind of crazy for Mitsuhide. Like, Hunter has been almost non-existent in this tournament.
That's right.
And Mitsuhide's making it work and proving that it's actually got a spot and it can get some work done.
Yeah, also just 3-0ing with 100.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
What do you think? So I know you're not the biggest Hunter fan in the world. That's my job.
Who says that? I only make fun of Hunter to trigger you, Raven. That's the only reason it comes out.
It's all coming out now. Okay.
Honestly, it's perfectly refreshing to see different decks dominating. We've seen so much of the Zoo strength coming through that it's nice to see some other classes have the time to shine. And speaking of time to shine, it's certainly time to shine for Mitsuhide, who's just joined me along here. I feel like I end up interviewing you at most DreamHacks these days. You're getting pretty good at this DreamHack thing. Side events, top 8s, and now you're all the way through to a top 4. You must be feeling pretty good about your chances.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. I didn't expect my Hunter to do this well, actually.
Really? Did you not just Was that for the tournament as a whole, or just for this lineup for this match?
For this match, I thought it was really good, but
Can you just move your mic up just a little bit? There you go. Yeah, perfect.
For the tournament as a whole, I didn't think it was a really good pick because there were so many zoos. But for the top 16, I didn't face any zoo yet, so against his lineup, it was really favored.
Awesome. So yeah, how did you feel coming into this? Because sometimes coming up against a lesser-known player, it's kind of harder to scout them, get a read on them. Obviously, you get to look at the deck list. Would you rather have played like a known player, or are you happy to play one of the underdogs?
I'm happy to play underdog.
Okay,
it's fine.
Yeah,
my lineup was good against his, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're happy to just be the favorite, crush them, move through top 4?
Yeah, it's always nice to win. So,
Seems reasonable to me.
Sure, why not? You guys have any questions about the match?
Well, not so much the match, but more because I've not really had a chance to speak to you. Like, how has the Hunter performed overall, and like what actually made you just bring Hunter? Because as you said, you didn't think it was going to be too great, and you've actually just met up against people where the lineups seem to favour the Hunter, which is quite rare in this tournament overall.
Yeah, I just wanted the Hunter to like counter all the bit more greedy decks like Rhinolog, Control Warriors, Paladins. Because I didn't want to bring Warrior myself. I don't really like Control Warrior, so I couldn't really have a good counter to. I can't really make like a greedy Control Warrior to beat Warrior. So yeah, I made that, and I was prepared to lose to Zoo a lot. And the 2 times that I lost in Swiss, I actually lost 3-0 to Zoo. So.
Oh really? Oh okay. Well, I'm happy you brought Hunter. I'm glad someone did.
Put a smile on your face.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Life coach, any questions for Mitsuhide before we let him go?
We were wondering about your thinking with the snipe. So in one game you had the snipe and you didn't deploy it, and the reason was probably because he just got a blood mage bounce and you didn't want to snipe the blood mage, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to make him have the extra draw from the blood mage straight away.
Yeah, just because initially on the face of it, you floated like 7 mana and just drew snipe and didn't play it. But obviously, even the 4 mana blood mage would have potentially made the mage draw into mob burn, right? So.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep, overall, very well played. I think a deserved winner of that series, a deserved placement in the top 4. So congratulations to you. We are about ready. We have got our top 4 set. This man next to me is in there. 3 other fantastic players as well. So we are going to get into our semi-finals very, very quickly. Do not go anywhere. Extremely short break. We'll be right back into the action here at the DreamHack Hearthstone Grand Prix.